Hey everybody, I have a video here for you today. We're going to document a site that's been lost to history for almost a century. We're going to go down to Anderson Township, Ohio. And if we just back out here, get some reference, this is just east of Cincinnati. Other ancient sites around here, Chillicothe, Serpent Mound, Fort Ancient. This seems to be a very populated part of the world, going back maybe 3,000 years. Anderson Township here. This is the dry run area, and it took me a long time to figure out where this ancient site was, but I have determined not the exact site, but it is right in this area here, somewhere in this area by, I think this is Ivy Hills Golf Course, but somewhere by a gravel company. Now, Ancient Origins did a story on this a while back, and really the only video on YouTube is my buddy Budcat's video, and I will leave that link below. But this is the general area that the mound was in until about 70-80 years ago when it was bulldozed. Gravel company took over, and this makes sense right up in this area here. I don't know the exact location, and that's what makes this lost history, but I did find a good paper, and let's just read. The largest mound in Hamilton County, indeed one of the largest in Ohio, lay in Anderson Township, near the south bank, a little dry run, approximately 1 mile east of Newton. The earliest detailed description of this mound was given by Timothy C. Day in the Monthly Chronicle of Interesting and Useful Knowledge in 1839. Speculating that the mound is the monument of some mighty chief who lies interred in its center, Day noted a large beech tree 2 feet in diameter on the summit, the mound slope being covered in underwood and several large forest trees. Day measured the Levi Martin Mound, as it was then known after the landowner, and found it had a circumference of 600 feet and a height of 40 feet and a length of about 250 feet and 150 feet across. In 1851, Charles Whittlesey described it and illustrated the mound, but inaccurately located it 1 mile north of Newton. By 1878, when C.L. Meltz examined the mound, number 7 of his group, it had been cultivated for the last 30 years except for the previous 2 and was covered with blackberry bushes. The beech tree, now gone, had become, on reliable authority, an oak tree 4 feet in diameter. Metz measured the mound as 39 feet high with a circumference of 625 feet. Martin, the landowner, would not permit excavation of the mound because of reverence for the dead. By 1927, however, the mound was owned by Willis F. Walker and W. H. Harbour. Walker, with the help of John B. Jewett, Jr., began tunneling into the mound in May 1927, shoring the 6 by 7 foot tunnel with posts and oak planking. By October, some 350 feet of tunnel had been excavated. 55 feet in from the west side, the first burial was encountered in a bark-prepared grave about 3 feet above the tunnel floor. Traces of animal skins and a leather helmet were also discerned by the excavators. Changing direction of the tunnel, Walker and Jewett encountered the legs of a second poorly preserved skeleton at the level of the tunnel floor. These were removed as they lay over a third skeleton, one buried with his face downward. The feet of this giant were missing. Another giant was uncovered nearby, apparently associated with a ground stone celt, as well as a fifth skeleton. It is stated, however, with each skeleton was a burial token consisting of a lump of white chalk. Several cremations were reported at different levels in the mound. The bone in the oblong piles, from 3 to 4 feet long and about 1 foot wide, also discovered was a ceremonial altar or dais at the floor level, 7 by 3.5 feet, outlined with logs. It is very probable that this was part of a log crypt, as Star reports that when the mound was eventually bulldozed away, the dozer operator noted many log tombs. From the dozer operator's accurate description, according to Star, it is evident that the most common type of tomb was a simple two-dimensional log structure constructed from laying 2 logs on each side of a rectangle around the body. What was probably reported as another such log tomb was encountered in the tunnel roof near the middle of the mound, where excavators found 2 copper bracelets and a stemmed flint blade, the latter of which suggested to Walker that the name Spearhead Mound. And here are a couple copper bracelets that were found, and I guess there was numerous ones found here. It says Walker illuminated the tunnels with electrical lights intent on preserving the mound as a museum. He charged sightseers a nominal admission fee, enough according to Starr to pull himself out of the depression. Walker planned to tunnel higher in the mound, but no information was available on excavations subsequent to 1927. C.B. Galbraith and H.C. Chetrone of the Ohio State Archaeological and Historical Society visited the mound in 1927 and obtained a set of photographs of this excavation. Those accompanying this article were kindly copied by James L. Morton from the prints in the Hamilton County file at the Department of Archaeology, Ohio Historical Society. Here is a tunnel in the mound, and you can see they actually tunneled under some log tombs here, and there was copper bracelets embedded right in the ceiling, as you can see here. But the Spearhead Mound was destroyed in 1940 by gravel operations. The site is currently owned by the Dravo Company, but Starr in 1960 reported that much material from this mound was then in the Perry Collection, Miamiville, Ohio, but the only artifact definitely ascribable to the Spearhead Mound was an unusual tubular pipe inscribed with a bird-like pattern. Clearly, the Spearhead Mound was an Adena structure, as evidenced by the log crypts, bark-covered burials, and copper bracelets, and stem point, as well as a tubular pipe. The presence of a skeleton buried face down is of particular interest, as this trait has only been reported previously in the Darby Creek area. Also unusual is the elliptical outline of the mound, though it appears to have still had the general conical form of typical Adena mounds. Despite the commercial aspects of Wilson's excavation and some fanciful interpretations, his work was comparatively painstaking and in some areas considerably advanced for the time. Noticing the wild lettuce grew from the fill excavated from the mound, he planned to test mound soil samples in greenhouse germinating beds. Unfortunately, results of the testing are not known. It is only within the relatively recent years, however, that the archaeobotanists have begun testing archaeological seed samples in this manner to eliminate recent seed rain contaminants. Walker also had mound soil samples chemically tested by the State Department of Agriculture without revealing the source of the sample, learning that the samples were high in potash and deficient in other elements of plant food and would have been reinforced with chemical fertilizers if he wished to grow potatoes. Though inconclusive, Walker's attempt to have the soil analyzed demonstrates a certain amount of archaeological sophistication. Unfortunately, his attempt to both excavate and preserve the site was likewise a bit ahead of his time, and shortly over a decade later, the site was completely destroyed by gravel operations. But some slightly exaggerated reporting, they said these were giants. Well, the total length of these skeletons was about 6.5 feet. That is a very large person for 2,000-3,000 years ago, for sure. Were they giants? No. They were just as big as some of the tallest people today, but certainly that gave them status and stature probably in the general public's eye back in this time. But there are reports of bodies being found that can pretty much be verified that were a little over 7 feet tall and much bigger than that. Then it gets really hard to verify, and seems some have just disappeared. But that is my report on some lost history. This is Anderson Township. This is Newton, just east of Cincinnati. Also close to Fort Ancient, Serpent Mound, Chillicothe. A lot of ruins in Ohio. Today, that site is totally gone and has been that way for many decades. The lost history brought to you on this channel. Hope you thought that was cool, and you all have a very nice day.